Alright, welcome to my video. My name is Eckogen. In this video, we'll go over the mechanics for the Hive Queen, the last boss, and Temple of Eluvium. So the tank needs to stand at 11 o'clock, and he has to range pull her. Once he's pulled her, the boss is going to dash towards the tank, and she's going to fire a 180-degree Indignity field. That's a debuff. It lasts for 60 seconds and does a lot of damage. And so once the fight has begun, the map is going to light up. Around the edges of the map is a sort of like a light sort of field. Those edges are instant death zones. So if you go into that, you're going to die. In the middle there, in that circle that's now lighted up, that is a buff zone. So that zone will boost a maximum of 3 people. You want to put your 3 strongest range DPS in this buff zone. Now we'll go over her attack pattern. Her attack pattern is essentially the same for the entire fight with some minor changes after you do knockdowns. So that attack you just saw right there, that was her swipe attack. Now she can do a pulse attack. So this pulse attack is about 14 meters, 14-meter radius. It hits twice and it will knock you back. This attack can be blocked. And now she's going to do another swipe attack. And keep in mind, these swipe attacks can be blocked. And now her CC bar is going to open. So that is her attack pattern. She does a swipe attack, that's blockable, a pulse, which hits twice, that can be blocked, and then another swipe attack, which can be blocked, and then her CC bar opens up. So for phase 1 is 100 to 71%. For the first phase, you want to stun her 3 times. So for the first 3 times her CC bar opens up, you want to stun. So for this stun we did right here, you want one party to dedicate themselves to the stun. You don't want both parties to do it just because the CC bar does open pretty quick, so your stun might not be up in time. If you're not counting in RNG for resets. So now her attack pattern is going to reset, and then if you notice too, to the right there's those sort of like lights of beam that are kind of coming out from the buff zone. So that is a death beam, sort of say. That starts at 12 o'clock and it's going to move clockwise around the room. So there's her swipe attack again. Now she's going to do pulse. And then another swipe attack, and then soon her CC bar is going to open up. And now party 2 will stun her. And now she'll just repeat the same thing. So swipe. Here's a pulse. Another swipe. Now for this third CC, we have everybody stunning her because this is the final stun. Now when her CC bar is open, she phantom grips the tank. And if you fail to CC, she will instantly kill the tank. Now she's doing a swipe attack again. Back to pulse. Another swipe. Our CC bar is going to open up. So like I said, for phase 1, you do 3 stuns, and then the rest of the CCs will be knockdowns. So this is the 4th CC here. We already did our 3 stuns, so we're going to knock her down. When she gets up from her knockdown, she causes a knockback. So just be ready to either iframe that or block it. Now, when you do a knockdown, this is her pattern that she's going to follow every time you do a knockdown. So she's going to get up, and there's going to be 4 unique phrases that she could say. For example, she could say, "How droll." She might say, "This might hurt a little bit." She could also say, "You can do better than that," or "Run, run, run." So for the entire party, or I guess for the rest of the party, it doesn't really matter. But for the tank, it matters very much. So the tank drives the boss based on what she says. So this is essentially the major mechanic for this boss fight, is pretty much all in the tank and how he's able to drive the boss correctly for the raid to succeed. Because if the tank can't do it right, you're not gonna pretty much complete this raid. So she said you can do so for the four phases, like I said. How Droll, that is the only one where she will move away from the tank, meaning the tank needs to be under her and facing towards her for her to drive away. So whereas the other three phases, the tank dashes far away and then she will drive to the tank. So after driving to the tank or dashing to the tank, she's going to do a 180-degree indignity at the tank. And then she's going to fire an indignity cone at the targeted player and the tank. The two indignity attacks will kind of look like a hourglass shape. Generally, it'll be like a front and back, but sometimes they may be side to side depending on how the tank and the targeted person stands. So Indignity is a 60-second stackable debuff that deals damage over time. And so, of course, with more stacks, it deals quite a bit of damage. At 3 stacks is barely survivable, really. Anyway, so the targeted player for the Indignity attack is random. And if that targeted player dies before she finishes that cone attack for the Indignity, then it'll be a wipe. So to avoid this Indignity attack, you have to alternate between party iframes. So how we do it is we'll do Hong block for the first one, and then we do a summoner stealth for the second one. So they just alternate back and forth. So Hong block and then stealth, Hong block, stealth. It can be assassin stealth as well. Doesn't matter as long as you just set a pattern and follow that pattern. So that's how you have the raid party essentially avoid getting those debuff stacks by using the party protection skills. All right, so now it's going to say the Hive Queen infests someone with insects. So what this means is that the 3 people staying in the buff zone need to be aware of who has the bug bomb. There's 2 ways to tell who has the bug bomb. The one way is to look at your character, and you'll notice like a strange effect you have surrounding your character. But you do need your graphical settings to be on max to see it clearly. Any less than that, you might not be able to see it or distinguish it. So it's more reliable to base it on the party bar itself. So make sure all 3 ranged DPS in the buff zone are together in one party. So the person with the darker bar and a frame around it, that means they have the bug bomb. So kind of like similar to the tank, how the tank has a darker bar and he's highlighted. So that would mean they have the bug bomb. So keep in mind that the bug bomb can jump from target to target, so you just need to keep on both things if possible. So check the party bar and check your own character too if your graphics are on max. If you have an FM in the buff zone, usually the FM will have it. So whoever has the bug bomb needs to move away. And you can see the FM had it, so as you can see he SS and dashed away. So he's going to wait and let it explode because that explosion has a 10-meter radius and it will instantly kill anybody nearby but the person themselves that has the bomb. So if let's say that FM did notice he had the bug bomb and he just chose to sit in the buff zone anyway, he will kill the other 2 ranged DPS and most likely some of us here because that we're pretty much within 10 meters. So after the bug bomb, she's gonna continue her regular attack pattern. So she just did the swipe. Now she can do the pulse attack. She'll do a swipe again. And now her CC bar is going to open. And of course, you want to do knockdowns constantly. You just want to keep doing knockdowns because, like I said, that death beam from before, it's moving clockwise. It's getting pretty close to us now. So if we did a stun here, it might reach to us. And if it touches the boss, that causes the boss to enrage. And remember that when the boss gets up from a knockdown, she does a knockback. So make sure you block that or move away from that if you don't want to get knocked back. And of course, don't forget that every time she gets up from a KD, she's going to say one of the 4 unique phrases. So remember that the only phrase you need to worry about is how Droll. So that's the only one where you need to be under her to drive her away. Where the other three, which is I'll mention again, this might hurt a little. You can do better than that, or run, run, run. That's the one where the tank moves far away, so she'll dash towards the tank. So again, she creates the 180 field. She's going to fire the Indignity Cone, and then she's going to infest someone with Bug Bomb. So the three in the middle need to pay attention to who has it. And then she's going to repeat her attack pattern. So there's a swipe, there's the pulse, there's a swipe again. Now, since she hit 70%, she's going to go into the add phase. So add phase for the first phase starts at 70%. Now, let's say, for example, let's just our DPS was a little quicker than that, and she just did Bug Bomb. So let her finish Bug Bomb before you push her to add phase, because if, let's say, she just did the message for Bug Bomb and you push her to 70% right away, you'll probably cause a wipe because that mechanic needs to complete before you push her to 70%. So I would say if you see the message where it says that she infests someone with insects or whatever, I would give it a few seconds afterwards and then push her to 70%. All right, so for phase one ads, which happen at 70%, 3 big spiders will spawn around the room. There'll be one at 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. Now, you want to avoid touching the middle of the zone during this ad phase. And she's going to fire projectiles at 3 random people at the start of this. So FMs could use Sheath to protect us from that. And then she's going to fire 3 Indignity Bombs, one or each in between the spider ads. So make sure you're just jumping up and down constantly to avoid that. All right, so slightly after these spiders spawn, there's going to be 5 mites that spawn by each of these large spiders. The goal is to have the mites close to the spider and then kill the mites. So ideally you want to clump the mites all together. So you want to do that with a suction skill. And then you want someone to push the mites towards the spider, or you could do another suction skill to pull them towards the spider. And then once they're all gathered up, you want to DPS the spider and the mites down really quick. So when those mites die, there will be a red AoE indicator. So they're going to explode and damage anything within that radius. You'll see it here real shortly. So if you're a melee, you kind of want to be outside that radius, as it does do quite a bit of damage. And that damage also deals massive damage to the spider. So that's the main mechanic on how to take down the spider ads really quickly, is to pull the mites close to the spider, DPS them as quick as you can, and then let the mites explode on the spider. So other than that, you have to do very little damage outside of that to finish off the spider, if any at all. That blue AoE right there, that was the Indignity Bomb that she tossed. So remember that she throws 3, and she throws them in between each of the spider ads. So just constantly jump up and down to avoid getting the Indignity debuff. Don't base it on the visuals, just keep spamming your jump button because they are desynced. Now, when you're trying to get the mites to the spider, keep in mind that they do not have to be over top of the spider. They don't have to be perfect for it to work. As long as the AoE radius is within the spider, it will hit the spider boss, and that's fine. Well, not the spider boss, but the spider ad. Now, the spiders, the longer they live, the more they're going to heal the boss. And after their 4th attack, they're going to face the queen, and that's when they heal her. So you could freeze the spiders before they face her to prevent the healing. So when the 4th, like maybe the 4th attack happens, freeze her, that way they can't turn and face the Hive Queen to heal her. And then once all 3 spiders are dead, she's automatically going to drop down, and then she's going to continue the raid. So now it is phase 2. So remember that the tank needs to reposition himself at 11 o'clock again, because the room's going to light up again. Everything's going to be exactly like phase 1 with some minor changes, and the death beam's going to start at 12 o'clock again. So your 3 ranged DPS is going to be in the middle. So there's our swipe. There's our pulse attack. She can do a swipe again. And now our CC bar is going to open, so party 1 is doing the stun. Now for phase 2, we did 3 stuns. If your DPS is a little lower, you could do 2 stuns and then the rest knockdowns. There's a swipe attack again. Here comes the pulse. Remember that pulse is 2 hit and it will knock you back quite far, but it can be blocked. All our attacks are pretty much blockable, except for the Indignity attacks, which you need party iframes for. So there's her CC bar again. So now party 2 is going to do the stun. So remember that you want to separate the stuns and break down per party. So party 1 does 1 stun, party 2 does the other stun. There's a swipe, pulse, another swipe. CC bar is going to open. So this is the 3rd CC. So we're just going to have everyone CC. And see how far the pulse actually knocks me back. So that's why we position ourselves in that sort of manner. That way, if you do get knocked back, you're still within a relative safe zone. You know, you won't get knocked into the edge of the room where it would kill you. Now for the 4th CC, we do a knockdown. Remember that when she gets up, it does cause a knockback, so be sure to block that. And like I said before, for phase 2, we chose to do 3 stuns and then the rest KDs. If your DPS is lower, then do 2 stuns and the rest KDs. So your 3rd CC would be a KD instead of a stun like we did. And so remember that when she gets up, she's going to look for a target. She can say 1 out of the 4 unique phrases, and that's how the tank drives her. So she does the 180 field. Now she's going to do the 2 Indignity attacks, which is a cone-like attack, or like an hourglass shape attack. She's going to infest someone with insects. Remember, there's 2 ways to distinguish it. And then she can resume her attack pattern. There's a swipe, and now the CC bar is going to open up real shortly here. So you do a knockdown. Remember that the death beam in phase 2 moves faster. There's the field again. Then she can do the Indignity attack. So the Indignity attack is at the targeted player, which is random, and then at 1 at the tank. And remember that you have to party iframe that to avoid it, so alternate between Hong Moon block and stealth. And there you go again. So she's going to infest someone with insects. They need to determine who it is, and that person needs to move away. So phase 1 is pretty much the same, except the beam moves slightly faster. When the CC bar opens up, you want to do a stun. So you can see right there, that little purple icon with the bright eyes, that is the targeted player icon thing for the Indignity attack. So that's how you know you have the that debuff, sort of say. So if I had this and I died before she did that attack where she fires 2 Indignity attacks, you know, that's like an hourglass shape-ish attack, then it would wipe. And then she just does the same attack pattern over and over. So there's the pulse again. If you do get hit by the pulse and you get knocked back, make sure you don't F-roll, because you might F-roll into the death zone. And we do a knockdown again. Remember that whenever she gets up from the knockdown, it causes a knockback. So either be, a little bit away so you don't get hit by it, or be ready to block it. So if you recall earlier when I was talking about the bug bomb and knockback, so with the percentage here, she's very close to the second ad phase. So second ad phase starts at 40%. Like once she hit 40%, she's gonna just go right into ad phase. So we just did a knockdown. She just finished bug bomb. But since bug bomb completed, we're safe to keep pushing her to 40%. If she was at 41% right now, and she just did the animation for bug bomb, we would stop DPS immediately and let her finish that before continuing, because like I said before, it's going to cause a wipe. And now let's say you got her really close to the ad phase, but she starts phantom gripping the tank because her CC bar is open. You must complete the CC, otherwise she will still kill the tank, even if she is at the correct percentages to trigger the ad phases. So ad phase 2 is exactly the same as ad phase 1 with some minor differences. So in phase 2, the ads will spawn at 1, 5, and 9 o'clock. So remember that when she goes up into the air, she's gonna fire projectiles at 3 random people. FM can cheat that to protect yourselves. So the mites are gonna spawn, 5 mites per spider ad. You want to clump them together first. So you do that with a suction, and then someone can either push or you can do another pull. And remember that you want to constantly be jumping up and down because she's going to fire 3 indignity bombs in total, 1 between each ad, and the radius is quite large and they're desynced. So you want to be just spamming that jump button to make sure you're not getting hit by those buffs. And then once the mites are close enough to the spider, kill the mites as fast as you can. The mites will explode. They'll deal, most of the damage to the spider, and you probably don't have to do very much damage to your spider yourself to kill them. Once all spiders are dead, she'll drop down. Remember that the tank needs to be ready at 11 o'clock because at 12 o'clock that's where the death beam is. So now we're into phase 3. So phase 3 is the final phase for this. The death zone moves a lot faster. Here I would recommend doing only 1 or 2 stuns, and then the rest would be knockdowns. So remember that she does the 180 field, targeting the tank. She does a swipe, that can be blocked. A pulse attack. So if you have 3 stacks of Indignity or more, there's a good chance you'll probably die. So after the ad phase is probably a good time to just let it kill you. That way your party members can res you. So I would do it. I would time it after the pulse attack. So just move slightly like downwards from where I'm staying right here, and just let your party members know that hey, I'm gonna die. Get ready to press F on me to pay respects to get me back up real quickly. So there's a swipe again. Her CC bar is gonna open up. So you want one group to do the stun. She does a swipe again. Here's a pulse. Another swipe attack. Her CC bar is going to open up again. And then we did knockdown. So we only did 1 stun for phase 3 just because the death beam does move really quick. You could probably get away with 2. There's the bug bomb again. So one of them in the middle are going to get it, so they need to pay attention to who has it. Now the people in the buff zone, they have to be aware of where the beam is as well, because that beam will also kill them too. Now the only difference, if you go back a couple seconds there, was right after the bug bomb, she goes up into the air and she will target the furthest person to throw Indignity Bomb. So that Indignity Bomb can be avoided by just jumping up and down. So that's the only added thing in phase 3. Alright, so her CC is going to open up. You're going to do a knockdown. For the rest of this is all going to be knockdowns. And then remember that whenever she's up, depending on the phase, that's how the tank is going to drive her. The driving mechanic pretty much takes up the majority of the mechanics for this raid. The tank needs to survive and needs to know how to drive for this raid to be successful. When she creates the 180 field, and you can see here she summons another spider. So in phase 3, there is no separate ad phase, but ads will spawn approximately every 60 seconds for this phase. So every 60 seconds, there's going to be one ad that you have to deal with, and it's the same thing. There's going to be mites that spawn, you pull the mites to the ad, you kill it real quick, and then you just resume doing what you're doing for this boss. So you just have someone pull the mites to the spider, and then I would recommend the people in the buff zone to focus on this spider ad, because you want to bring it down ASAP. And then once the spider's dead, everyone just goes back and focuses on what they're doing. Even while the ad is up, the CCs still need to be done. Do not forget about doing your CCs. Alright, so there's Bug Bomb. Remember that in this phase, she's going to do the Indignity Bomb. So she targets the furthest player, and she's going to toss Indignity Bomb right after she infests someone with insects, which is Bug Bomb. So there's the Indignity Bomb right there. So see how they just jump to avoid it? And that's it. So that's the only addition in phase 3. So phase 3, there's the Indignity Bomb right after Bug Bomb, and then the ads spawn every 60 seconds, just one ad. So that's really the only difference between phase 3 and the other phases. So there's a spider ad right there. Remember that you need to bring the mites to the spider, so it's best to clump them all together at first with a suction, and then either push or suction them again to the spider. And the mites do not have to be on top of the spider. As long as their AoE is touching the spider, that's good enough. Remember that pulse is a 14 meter radius, so the people in the buff zone need to watch out for that, because you could get knocked back into the light beam if you're not be careful. So knockdown again. You're just doing knockdowns and knockdowns. So she's up, looking for her next target. She's dashing. She's doing the field. There's the Indignity Attack. Now she's infesting with Bug Bomb. Now she can do the Indignity Bomb, so that's at the furthest player. She's going to jump to avoid it. And then from there, she'll resume her normal attack pattern. So swipe. She can do a pulse. Another swipe. And then her CC bar is going to open up. And you just do knockdowns. So that's pretty much it for phase 3. You just keep doing that until she's dead. And the tank just needs to watch out for her phrases. So her phrases are both in the text, and she does say it vocally as well. So how Droll, that's the only one where the tank needs to be pretty much under her and facing towards her to drive her away. Where the other 3 phases, or not phases, but phrases, where she says, what does she say again? Where she says, this might hurt a little, you can do better than that, and run, run, run. So those are the 3 phases where she drives towards the tank. So the tank just moves away to bait her, so to say, to get her to that position. For the buffs, I would recommend just keep doing them as soon as the cooldown is up, but you should definitely save them for the ad phase. That way you finish the ads as quickly as possible. So if you look down there, how Droll, so that's the one where that's the unique phrase where you have to be under her for her to move away from the tank. The rest of the three, it's pretty much, tank moves away from her, she dashes towards the tank. And that's it for phase 3. Alright, so that is the mechanics for the Hive Queen. I will, of course, include a summary of the mechanics in the video description below. If you have any questions, please ask. I will do my best to answer them and help you out. Thanks for watching. Hope that helped.